Congressman French Hill from House Financial Services, along with former CKE Restaurant CEO Andy Puzder. First to you, Congressman. What do you make of that report? It sounded like Fed official Bostic is saying we need job losses to bring inflation down. Fed rate hikes and job losses won't fix inflation from a broken supply chain due to China, Russia, and undercutting U.S. energy. What's your reaction to what you just heard?
Happy Friday, Liz. Good to be with you.
Good to see you.
Yes, we need to be unleashing the supply side. We need to make the tax cuts by President Trump permanent. We need to unleash American energy. We need to remove any regulatory barriers that this administration is putting up that's causing that supply chain, those jobs, trucking, innovation to be blocked. That's absolutely what we should do. And on the report, look, what's happening is interest rates are now normalizing from zero after a period of extraordinary accommodation combined with rampant federal spending. And so we're behind the curve. That's what Jay Powell is acknowledging. Inflation is stubborn, but we need a supply side unleashing, and we need the normalization of interest rates.
Inflation is sticky and stubborn, Andy. But, you know, President Biden, again, makes it about Trump. The midterms are about not the bad company, but MAGA voters. He just attacked half the country. And watch the New York governor make a wild claim, too. Watch.
I respect conservative Republicans. I don't respect these MAGA Republicans.
What do you mean by semi-fascism, sir?
In December, you will...
You know what I mean.
And we're here to say that the era of Trump and Zeldin and Molinaro, just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong. You don't represent our values. You are not New Yorkers.
Okay, this nation is being run by nitwits. Okay, we're supposed to feel like, gee, half fascists, that should make half the country feel better? And the president's saying this when we're in a downturn and at the same time with the FBI raid of Trump's Florida home, Andy? What's with the New York governor, too?
Well, look, you're right. You're right. They're nitwits, but they're doing everything they possibly can to divert attention from the real issues, from the fact that, you know, moms can't even figure out if they have gas to take their kids to out-of-town soccer games or put a good, healthy meal on the table. They're worried about crime coming out of the inner cities and into their neighborhoods, maybe into their homes. They're worried about parents who are called terrorists for trying to get involved in their kids' education, and they're worried about people just strolling across our border and bringing crime and fentanyl along with them. And the Democrats, they can't talk about those issues. They've got no policies to address those issues. Those issues were caused by their policies. They continue to spend and spend and spend.
Yeah.
At the same time, Jerome Powell is raising interest rates to try and stem economic growth to bring inflation down. You know, you said they were nitwits. You're right, they're nitwits, and they're trying to find out if the rest of America is made up of a bunch of nitwits, because anybody that believes these people has to not has to have ignored everything that's happened over the past 2 years.
We rarely go there, but nitwit was just a fun word to say. It's fun to say the word nitwit.
I liked it.
It's enjoyable to say. You know, Congressman, we've got Wells Fargo senior economist Tim Quinlan saying, you know, the jury's still out if we're in a recession, but it's starting to feel like we're in one. The worst is yet to come. But the economic estimates coming in that tens of millions of blue-collar and Joe the Plumber middle-class workers are not going to be part of Biden's student loan bailout. They're excluded, but they're going to have to pay higher taxes for it. Erasing student loan debt isn't free. More Democrats oppose it, and Axios is reporting the Education Department is not ready to handle this. Is that true?
Of course it's true, because how did we get in $1.7 trillion of student loan debt? It was President Obama trying to pay for Obamacare that suddenly we don't do any underwriting. We just give this money away, which makes education inflation higher than healthcare inflation. It means that the government is in conspiracy with bad student aid offices, essentially like predatory lenders. And now they are foisting this debt relief on the backs of hardworking taxpayers, about 80% of which didn't even go to college. It's just a false game. It's immoral. It's not the way to go about it. There are plenty of constructive ways to help people pay their college loans back, like employment, like working in public service, using it as a recruiting tool by corporations who are recruiting high talent students. And the bottom line, wealthy people are the predominant users of these student loans. When you look at 50% of that total student loan balance or for folks graduating from graduate school, law school, and med school.
You know, to the congressman's point too, Andy, you know, this is really, critics are saying this is really a bailout of the corrupt academic system doing tuition gouging of middle-class families while they're living high in the hog tax-free.
Yeah, this is plumbers and truck drivers paying for the educations of overeducated, underemployed individuals, and helping to raise the salaries of professors who, you know, they go to college and they teach these students to hate America, and you've got American taxpayers who can't afford to go to college or decide not to go, footing the bill. This is an absurd policy, and again, it's a policy that will help ignite inflation. It's just like their spending bill back in March of 2021. The more the government spends, the worse inflation gets. So it's almost incomprehensible what they're doing, and certainly something that 80% of Americans that didn't go to college should certainly be concerned.
And you know
what
else is incomprehensible is the Democrat chaos on this. They've been all over the map. Watch this.
My daughter's getting out of school. I've saved all my money. She doesn't have any student loans. Am I going to get my money back? Of course not. So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us that did the right thing get screwed.
People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress. Your child just decided they want to, at this time, not want to go to college, but you're paying taxes to forgive somebody else's obligations. You may not be happy about that.
To the fairness question, the people that are sitting at home, having just paid off their student loans or having paid them off years ago, what's in it for them?
Nothing. Congressman, is Nancy Pelosi going to tell the president he doesn't have the authority to do this?
Well, over 100 Republicans led by Jody Hice in Georgia wrote her a letter today saying that she should, that this should be only considered by Congress. You know, Liz, we see this time and time again where the executive branch has to, under Article 2, fully execute the laws passed by Congress, but they get exaggerated. Like President Obama with DACA, and now President Biden on this. He doesn't have the authority to forgive $300 billion of debt and stick that bill on the hardworking taxpayers.
Well,
of
it
the
sounds
country.
like a fight coming. We'll see about that. But, you know, Andy, Gallup is saying the president's job approval rating is up 6 percentage points to 44, his highest in a year. He's still underwater. 53% disapprove of his job performance since, since I think he started. It's been underwater. Andy, your take on this. Are we headed for a split Congress? Because the president's party, it gained just seats in just 2 races, George W. in 2002, Bill Clinton in 1998. Are we headed for gridlock?
We could well be headed for gridlock, but I'll tell you what, gridlock would be the most positive thing that's happened since January of 2021. We need to slow the agenda, the Biden agenda. It's doing tremendous damage to the country, and you know, it's no wonder his polling is up some. He's out there telling all these students that he's going to forgive their debt. Well, it's going to be till after the election before the courts tell him that he doesn't have the authority to do that.
Yeah, and those students are going to have to pay higher.
Yeah,
and those students, right, and those students are going to have to pay higher taxes for that too. Congressman Hill and Andy Puzder, pleasure having you on. Have a good weekend.